Hey everybody, it's Jason Creel, and I'm going to tell you in this video how to fix a nasty, ugly lawn. I'm going to tell you exactly what I'm planning to do to get the ugly lawn I'm going to show you looking great. It's not going to happen overnight, okay? But I'm going to tell you the exact steps to take to fix this lawn. Let's get started right now. Today's video is sponsored by my friends at Yardbook. If you need a software for your lawn care company, go to yardbook.com. Diagnose the problem here, okay, and then we're going to walk through the steps to fix it. This is a lawn that is nasty, and this is actually at my own house here, so I'm not embarrassed because I want to tell you just a little bit about somebody who followed the channel. We renovated last year, and this was a gravel driveway, so unfortunately, as hard as you try, there's still rocks in the area. And so what happened, I'm filming this in the springtime, we didn't get it graded out till the fall, so there wasn't time to really grow much grass. So I just threw out a bunch of ryegrass to get something to where it wouldn't just be complete mud back here. And then guess what? The ryegrass is all spotty and looks terrible, and I mean, you see what we're looking at here. So then come around about March, I didn't want to sod the whole thing solid because that was going to be expensive. So what we did, we got some topsoil in here, got somebody to grade it out with a skid steer, but there's still rocks. And then we got some 2 pallets of Bermuda sod here that also, you know, was not looking great. And we put it out just randomly throughout here. So here's the plan. I've already kind of walked you through some of it. We put topsoil out. That was great. Overseed it with the ryegrass just so it wouldn't be mud back here with absolutely no grass whatsoever and just weeds. So I don't think that was a bad idea, but we live in the south, and the ryegrass is not a permanent solution here, so I want the Bermuda to fill in. So got a few things I'm trying to accomplish right now. One, I want to get rid of the ryegrass. I need that gone, okay? I want it gone sooner than later. So I'm going to talk about some options on that. I need my Bermuda grass to fill in and look as nice as possible. And I want that to happen as soon as possible, because until that happens, it's going to be thin. So I'm going to tell you what I'm doing to the Bermuda grass to make it grow. And I'm also going to show you a trick I use when I'm trying to speed up that process, okay? How I can do that other than just going by inside. Yeah, if you want to hire a landscape company to come in, scrape all this down and spend, you know, buy 10 pallets of sod, and you can have it fixed, and that's great. Okay, I'm not doing that. I don't want to pay for that, so I'm trying to show you how my strategy of fixing this without going through that costly expense. The other thing I don't want to do is bring in more dirt right now. I've already had a guy with a skid steer in here. I already had topsoil. The dirt, we still have some problems with it washing. As long as there's no grass here, it's still going to keep uncovering rocks and things. I don't think it's going to ever be perfect where there's no rocks. But I want to get the grass spreading, and then I can talk to you what I'm doing as far as my plan for the rocks a little bit later. So let's say step 1 was get some topsoil in here and get that leveled out. Got that done. Let's say step 2 was I put some Bermuda grass out here, and I went ahead and did that early in the year, like March, and let it get rooted before the hot summer weather gets here. Now I could have put it out in the summertime, but I had to really water it a lot. And so I put it out at a time where it's gonna already be rooted to the ground before the hot weather comes. I think I could pretty much go with no irrigation on this the whole summer, and it'll be fine because it's very drought tolerant for 1, and 2, it's already gonna have roots. So it's not like I'm just laying bare sod on top of the ground in the middle of August. I've tried that before, and you need water in that situation. So having it rooted before then is gonna allow it, 1, to be rooted, but also to, as soon as it gets hot, it's gonna start spreading, and that's what I want. So let's take it from this point. What am I gonna do? I gotta get rid of the ryegrass. So let me show you what I'm gonna do to do that. All right, so if you wanna get rid of a cool season grass out of a warm season grass, this is one of the best products I know of. This is not the only product. And I can put links in the description, some of the products I'm gonna mention today, but Katana is a great product for getting ryegrass out of a Bermuda lawn or a zoysia lawn, something like that. Like I said, you can also use products like Tribute Total or Certainty or Negate, or there's other products that'll get ryegrass out of Bermuda grass or out of zoysia grass, but Katana is definitely one of the better ones. So here's this product. It comes with a little measuring cone, and when you mix it up, you're going to follow the label rate and make sure you wear your PPE, but you can see little measuring lines down there, and at the very lowest line is 0.0625. And again, I'd have to check the label, but I think that's about the rate you would use for 2 gallons of water. So if you mix 2 gallons of water and fill it up to 0.0625 and then put some surfactant in the tank and then spray it. So that would be if you're using like a backpack sprayer or a handheld sprayer. It'll also have a rate for per acre if you want to use a tank sprayer like the one I got from Graham Spray Equipment. So anyway, I've already got some of that mixed up. I'm not going to spray it right now, but I would come in here and I would spray this. Now, let me show you. I've actually sprayed some. This is for another video, and I want to show you. This was probably sprayed 2.5 weeks ago. So you can see ryegrass here that's bright and green, and the Katana will kill broadleaf weeds too, so it's good for that. So that's untreated versus the treated. Let me step back a little bit. You know, you can see bright green over here, not sprayed, and then obviously this is what has been sprayed. And if it's the warmer the weather, the faster it's going to work. So you can see it is killing it, and this has been about 2.5 weeks. Now if it was 85 degrees, I think it's going to work much faster. And just to give you a comparison, again, there's another video I'm going to do about this, but this was a tribute total. So look how tall. I mean, this literally is probably 2 feet tall right there. I mean, it's growing like crazy. And then this area was sprayed with Tribute Total, which is another product that can knock out the ryegrass out of Bermuda. So that's one thing. The Katana is going to be cheaper than Tribute Total. So that's one thing I can do, is come in here and spray this whole area with Katana and get rid of the ryegrass. Now, I put the ryegrass here, okay, and it was a temporary solution to try to not have mud out here, but now I want it gone because it's in the way of my Bermuda. Now, another thing you can do, let's say you don't want to do the Katana, you could just start mowing this low. Now, not so low that you get into your brand new sod I've already put out, but I could start mowing this at 1.5 inches or 2 inches, something in that range. And that would, it's not going to kill the ryegrass. I don't think it's going to put some stress on it from mowing it low and often. And then as it gets warmer weather, the ryegrass will die out. So it may be May, even on into June, I don't know, depending on how hot it gets. Here in Alabama, it is going to kill the ryegrass in our area. So I don't have to spray it out, but I probably am going to spray it out because I want to get rid of it quicker and let the Bermuda grass start filling in. So anyway, going to do that first, spray it. That would be the first thing I want to do. And then I want to show you what else I can do. So I've got these big pieces of sod. Again, I could have sodded it solid. That's a lot more money. So what I can do after spraying it is I can take this little tool, and this pretty cool thing I've got. They're like 40 or 50 bucks or something. I don't know what they cost. I put a link on Amazon, but it seemed like it was 40-some. They may have gone up. Who knows? But I'm going to take this thing. It's called a Pro Plugger. Let me set up here where I can show you how it works. All right, so I'm going to take the Pro Plugger here. You see this thing? It's pretty cool. And basically, I'll show you how it works. I'm going to step on it, and it's hollow on the inside, and it's going to cut out plugs of Bermuda grass. And it's good to do this. It rained last night. The ground's fairly soft. So I'm gonna fill this up with about 10 plugs. I'm gonna demonstrate it. And then I'm gonna take those and I'm gonna start putting those in bare spots. So you think, Jason, what good is a little small plug of Bermuda grass like that gonna do? You'll be amazed at how fast, when it gets hot, it's gonna take off. So let's say I got an area that's 10-foot area with no Bermuda grass. I could put, 3, 4, 5 little plugs in there, and it's gonna fill in very quickly once the weather gets hot. So I've got tons of Bermuda grass on my property. I've got like 4 acres here and lots of Bermuda grass. And I've done it mostly with this thing and just putting out a little bit of sod and letting it spread. And I want to steal some of the Bermuda from a good area and put it over there in the areas that are more thin. So let me demonstrate right now. Okay, so the plugs are down inside there, and you can see where I pulled the plugs out of the ground. Now if you want to go and fill that with sand or topsoil or whatever you want to do, or get the plugs that you're going to create over here, taking out the dirt and put it back in there, you can. I probably won't do anything with it. I'll just leave it like it is, and it'll fill in over time most likely. So now what I'm going to do, again, ideally I'd already sprayed the ryegrass out. And one of the good things about this plugger, it's getting roots down here with it, okay? So when it's just not bare grass with very little topsoil, you're getting the roots and everything. So look right here. I've got a situation here where here's some sod, there's some sod, there's some sod, but you got a big bare spot right in the middle with all you got is a little bit of ryegrass, which I'm wanting to die. There's no Bermuda popping up here. So let's just say I dump out my plugs here on the ground. And there they are. You see what they come out like. It's pretty cool. Get something like that. Now if the ground's real soft like this, sometimes, you know, if I got an area that's like over here where it's basically mud, I can just set it on the ground and just step on it. Okay, now is that ideal? Well, maybe not, but I feel really confident that's gonna grow and survive. So I just stomped that one down in the mud. You don't want to stomp it down in the mud. You don't have to. You can find you a bare spot like this and just do the opposite of what you did before. I'm gonna go ahead and just dig a hole out here. So I can go ahead and use my Pro Plugger again, step on it, and create a hole. I can create multiple holes if I want to. Okay, just like that. You don't have to do them that close, but the closer you do them, the faster it's gonna fill in. Then, I'm gonna take my sod here, my plugs, and I just set them in the hole there, just like that. And then I might just step on them to make sure they're down in there. Fine. Now I feel really confident that that's going to survive and spread. Now I'm probably not going to put them that close. I've got these plugs here, and I can walk around here and find big bare spots. And you know, because I might be a little bit lazy at doing this sometimes, I might just go for the muddy spot like this and just step on it and be done with it, you know, instead of, so that's good enough for me. But if you want to use the plugger and dig your plug, that's fine. Now the other thing that's going to help is I've got some Bermuda that was here even last year before it was all graded out, so it's been buried with topsoil, but here's Bermuda seemingly popping up from nowhere, and so there's going to be some of that going on here too that's going to start filling in the bare spots. And when I get rid of the ryegrass, I think it's going to allow more sunlight on this area, and it's going to help it spread even faster. Because you look, a situation like this, the ryegrass, if there was some Bermuda that was trying to grow in here, it's probably being shaded out by the ryegrass, so that's not ideal. So let's say I go around and I plug and I put Bermuda grass in all the big bare areas, and again, you can do as many plugs as you want. The closer you put them together, obviously the faster it's going to fill in. But one of those little plugs, I wouldn't be surprised, okay, I hadn't tested this, but if one of those little bitty plugs would make a 10 by 10 square by the end of the summer, 10 feet by 10 feet square of grass. It can spread that much under ideal situations. So literally you had a 10 feet by 10 feet bare area, you put one plug in there, I'm not convinced by September it wouldn't have filled in that whole area. Now if you don't want to do one plug, you know, put 4 or 5 in there, and I feel really confident it's going to fill in. So again, some of that's going to depend on circumstances, water, fertilization, things like that. All right, so what else do I want to do on this? I want this stuff to grow, okay? It's April right now when I'm filming this. The weather is kind of playing games with us a little bit. It's 60 something one day, and then it might get up to 80, but then it might get down to low 40s. I mean, it's not exactly got to the conditions where this Bermuda is going to take off. And again, this is new Bermuda that was just put out a month ago. Now it's stuck to the ground. I think it's pretty well rooted. I could probably rip it up, but I think it's stuck to the ground. I don't think it's going to die, but it's not growing very much. So what I want to do, again, this is April, I might give this about 2 or 3 more weeks, and when I get into May, and I can tell by then, hopefully the ryegrass is going to be dead because I've sprayed it out with the katana. I've got plugs put all throughout here that are have rooted themselves over a few weeks of warmer weather. And the sod that was laid is also starting to grow to the point where I might even need to mow it once or twice. And then the weather is getting hot. We're up in the 80s, even getting close to 90. We're into May, early summer. Now's the time where we want to make something happen. Okay, and when I get all this established, it's going to fix some of the problem here. The water's coming through here on heavy rains and washing. So I want to get the Bermuda filled in. I don't want to just keep putting dirt here because it's going to keep washing until I get the grass established. I'm going to talk to you about that in a minute. Just to give you a proof of concept, this is about 2 acres right here that's almost solid Bermuda grass. There's a couple bare spots in it, but I pretty much did the exact same plan that I'm talking about doing back there. I bought 2 pallets of sod and spread out here, and then watched it spread, and it basically filled in mostly over the course of 1 summer. So I feel very confident being able to fill in that much smaller area over the course of this summer. So now I'm going to show you, I've got some fertilizer back here, and when we get into May and everything's rooted and it's growing, it's need cut, I'm going to probably hit it with some of this high nitrogen fertilizer. So I've got 3 different varieties, but this one here you can see is a 3808 by Harold's. Comes in a 50-pound bag, so with the first number being my nitrogen, 38, you can cut that number in half, divide by 2, and that'll give you how many pounds of nitrogen are in this bag. So there's 19 pounds of nitrogen in this bag. Well, now if you really want that grass to take off, you could put as much as 5 or 6 pounds per 1,000 square feet, my understanding, and it's going to take off like crazy. I'm probably not going to put that much on there. A lot of times on a regular lawn, I'm going between 2 to 2.5 pounds of nitrogen per 1,000 square feet in an application, sometimes a little bit less than that. But this is a slow release fertilizer, so it's going to feed the lawn for months. So in about May, I'm going to put this fertilizer out there, and I'm going to let it really start feeding the lawn. Now, a bag of this is going to cover roughly 10,000 square feet, and that's going to help it really start to grow. Again, hotter weather, irrigation, those things are going to make a huge difference, but this fertilizer is going to be great. But I'm not looking to do it now. I want that grass to just take root right now. Textures is going to encourage the grass to grow leaves, and what I wanted to do is to take root first before we start pushing it to grow leaves. So once it starts growing leaves, then by then I can be pretty confident it's already rooted itself well, the weather's hot, then I can hit it with the nitrogen. Now, that's a slow release fertilizer. It's going to last for months. You may go buy a quick release fertilizer and want to fertilize it once every 4 weeks throughout the summer, you know, maybe May, June, July, August, you know, until it gets filled in. I'm probably not going to do that. I'm going to fertilize once or twice because of the nature of the fertilizer. It'll release the nutrients over a period of time and feed the lawn so it'll fill in. All right, so let's fast forward. Let's say it's July. I've fertilized, it's hot, everything's spreading, the ryegrass is dead, whether I sprayed it from Katana or whether I just let the heat kill it, it's out of the way. One thing I have to consider, and I'll just go ahead and tell you what I did. I have to rewind before I fast forward. Go back to January, February, and if I don't put a pre-emergent down with all this bare dirt, my concern is I'm going to be completely eat up with crabgrass, and that's going to be severe competition for my Bermuda grass spreading. So I go ahead and apply a pre-emergent like prodiamine to this before the crabgrass germinates, so maybe January, February in our area in Alabama. The crabgrass typically germinates in our area sometime in March, so try to get that down before, so I shouldn't have a crabgrass problem. Now, sometimes the concern is, Jason, you put down a pre-emergent, is that going to hinder the Bermuda grass from spreading? Well, potentially, but my theory is a couple things. One, I don't think it's as big of a hindrance as a yard full of crabgrass, because I know that's a big hindrance. If there's crabgrass all in here, then I'm gonna have a hard time getting the Bermuda grass to spread. My other thought is, by the time the Bermuda really starts spreading, so let's say July, August, even into September, I think that pre-emergent application that was done back in January is probably not affecting the spreading of the Bermuda grass much at all. So I think, to me, the pros outweigh the cons of keeping a lot of the weeds out so that the Bermuda will have room to spread. and then by the time it's really going to start spreading in the summer, I don't think the pre-emergence is going to be much of a factor. Back fast forward again, let's say we're in the summertime and you got this Bermuda grass and it's spreading all over the place, and and now what are we going to do? Let's say it's 85% cover. Well, I can keep pushing nitrogen on it, keep putting fertilizer, get it spread, keep mowing it often. Don't let it just grow up, you know, 4 inches and hack it down to 1.5 inches. So I'm going to try to maintain it at a low height, mowing it quite often. And then once it's mostly covered, what I could do, and I don't know if I'm going to do this year or next year or maybe never, but I would like to do it this year if I can do it early enough. But I could at that point bring in some topsoil and maybe mix it with some sand, maybe like a 2/3 topsoil, 1/3 sand mixture, and top dress and put a thin layer on here, because at that point I'm thinking there's enough Bermuda grass to hold the soil in place, so I'm not going to have the erosion problems that I'm having right here. Okay, you see all those rocks? Well, I could put topsoil on that right now, and then when I get another big heavy rain, it's just going to wash it out again. But once the Bermuda comes over here, even in the middle of rocks, I think the Bermuda will grow there. And then I come in there with a thin layer of topsoil and sand mixed together, or you could do just sand or even just topsoil. Then I think the Bermuda is going to grow up through that, especially if I do it like in July or something. It'll grow up through that, give it some better soil, hopefully cover up some of the rocks and smooth out some of the imperfections in this lawn. I mean, my yard's huge, so there's a lot of places they could put it, but I want to focus the area right there behind the house, and I got to dump just a little bit over here because you piles of dirt that's going to require a lot of manual labor. So, but this is a great job initially, and I think this is going to really help. Does a couple of things. One, level it out. So we just threw out this Bermuda sod in random areas, and it's starting to spread, but it's lumpy when I ride over a lawnmower, so it's going to smooth it out for sure. Spot with that device, and then this one obviously is going to be a big job where I do the majority of it and get this smoothed out. But I wanted just this area immediately behind the house to look nice, and it's not looking great. I've got other areas I can level. I've got 4 acres here, but this is the area that really needs to look the best in my opinion. Like I said earlier, I'm doing this right at the beginning, actually not even summer yet, but so the project's not finished yet, but let me show you what the backyard looks like as of today. We're in mid-September, and it's still got maybe a little bit of growing season left for this year, but it's pretty much wrapping up, and it may need to be finished out next year. But let's show you what it looks like, and I'll show you what my future plans are. So this is it today. Same grass that you were looking at. There are some bare spots, obviously you can see over here out in the distance there. There's a few other bare spots. But overall, we got pretty good coverage back here. I think some of the things that went right and some that went wrong. We put the sod out and didn't do a great job of watering it initially, so it took a little while to get rooted. Then when I top dressed it, I thought that was just going to be the absolute ticket. That was just going to make it spread with looser soil. What I didn't foresee was heavy rains washing out some of the top dressing material and leaving me still with more exposed rocks where the better soil washed away in certain little valleys where it looks flat, but a lot of water comes through here when it rains hard. So some of that happened, and so my thought is moving forward, one, you know, if I'd have watered it more, I think I could have got complete coverage. I think I put plenty of fertilizer on it. But I think next year what I need to do is get a little bit more top dressing material. Won't take near as much as I needed this year. But I think if I top dress it this time, I don't think it'll wash as bad because there's obviously a lot more grass there to hold the soil in place and to start rooting. And I could even wait and do it like in June once the grass is really growing, and hopefully it'll take root in the new soil before we get a heavy rain and it washes out. So anyway, as you look at it, some of the areas that have bare spots is really very hard compacted soil where the top soil washed away. The point of the video is to give you some hope if you want to do what I'm doing. If you want to do warm season grasses, obviously it's not going to work on a cool season grass. You just overseed those. But our warm season grasses, they do spread. Bermuda spreads probably as fast as any of them. And I knew if I did this, it would work. I just didn't know if I could get it all to fill in one summer. And I came close, but didn't quite get where I wanted to. There's some weed pressure out here. If you look at it, there's some crabgrass, goosegrass. I'm gonna let the winter kill those off. Next year I'll put a pre-emergent out early, and hopefully most of that won't be back. But it may be next summer before I have it completely done, because we're shifting into grass is not going to grow very much more this year, and it starts shifting into dormancy. Now, if you can do it, put the sod out on this Bermuda sod, especially early in the year, and let it get rooted before the hot weather comes. Then when it gets hot, if it gets plenty of water and fertilizer, it's going to spread like crazy. If you put it out in the middle of summer, you can do that, but you really need to have some sort of irrigation in place, or it's going to struggle to survive, and it's not going to spread much until it's able to develop those roots. So putting it out in March seemed to be basically an ideal time in this situation. Thanks for watching. I hope this gives you some hope. If you're thinking about putting out some sod, you got a big area to cover and you want to let it spread instead of just putting sod the whole thing. Of course you can do that. I could have just sodded the whole thing, but it would cost a whole lot more money. If you haven't done so, please subscribe to the channel. If you want to get in weed control and fertilization, mowing business, go to lawncareLife.com. There's a lot of resources there. We'll see you guys in the next video.